Hello everyone, how you doing? I hope you're all doing really well. I'm Lindsay, your host of the Heavy Metal Journal and writer for This Day in Metal, and I'm back with a new Metal Monday where I talk about my favourite new releases of the week, and it was really strange not posting a video last week. I'm so sorry I wasn't around last week, but I just wasn't feeling an awful lot. There was that one Night Rage album that I really enjoyed that I have added into the Spotify playlist. But other than that, there was a couple of albums here and there that I liked elements of that were up my street or could have been up my street. But overall, I wasn't really feeling it, to be honest, and I didn't think I could stretch one album into a whole video, so really sorry about that. And then, because I was suffering from extreme burnout, I decided to take the week off to actually recover. But there are going to be weeks where I'm not really feeling any of the album releases, and you know what, that's okay. You know, not everyone likes everything, and that's perfectly fine. But I'm back this week, which is the most important thing, with 4 brand new albums that I want to talk about. Now, as always, before I begin, check out the description box below where you will find a Spotify playlist, which will feature every single album that I talk about on my New Metal Monday videos, unless it is a Bandcamp only release, in which case I will get that noted if that is the case. So if you use Spotify, make sure to follow that playlist, which gets updated every Monday after the New Metal Monday video goes live. Now, if you don't use Spotify, don't worry about it, because in the description box I will also include the band's Bandcamp links or their YouTube channels, just so you guys can find the music that I'm talking about as easily as possible. Whilst you're down there, check out the This Day in Metal website that I write for, where we write articles of breaking news in the metal world, full in-depth album reviews that breaks down the albums track by track, special features and interviews. Check it out. Give that a subscribe as well, it would really help me out, and also the This Day in Metal team. But like I said, 4 brand new albums that I want to talk about, and I'm just going to jump straight in. Okay, so the very first album that I want to talk about is Brazen Tongue with Crackling Embers and Sorrows Drowned, and it's the debut album from the US-Swedish blackened death metal band. Now, this is a really cool album because they take elements of black metal and death metal, but there's also the melodic side of things. It's a little bit thrashy, a little bit progressive at times, and really quite technical sometimes as well. But they've blended all of these elements from every angle of extreme metal to create a very dynamic, multi-layered sound that is just so ridiculously heavy, but really catchy and addictive at the same time. They expertly walk that fine line between sheer aggression and beautiful melodies, but the melodies are very dense and they're very heavy, rather than that light kind of ethereal melodic sound. Huge elements of the Gothenburg melodic death metal style, so if you like that, you're definitely going to want to get onto this one. Really cool atmospheric synthy moments, shredding guitars, loads of really cool intricate and technical riffage, and the solos just fly everywhere. Now, even though it is quite atmospheric with that synthy kind of element, the central focus of this record is definitely the guitar work and those blistering blast beats that just seem to continue on forever. Like I said, the solos are flying, they are so gorgeous, and the riffs are very melodically beautiful, but quite technically intricate too. Now, the vocal style is primarily those deep guttural growls and screams, but you do have clean vocal elements throughout it as well, but it is primarily guttural vocals. There's the odd monastic vocalizations, but the power and the energy that comes from this record grabs you in a vice-like grip and just does not let go. The power and the energy is unreal. That's the very first thing that I noticed about this record, and I cannot believe that this is just a debut album. So if you are a fan of the likes of last year's Sulphur Aeon album, Red a Hammer from the other week, yes, I did check that one out after you guys gave me the recommendations in the comments section. Thank you very much for that. And also, if you're a fan of Words of Farewell, you're definitely going to want to get onto this one. Okay, so next up on my list, I am probably going to pronounce this incorrectly, but I'm going to give it my best shot. I do apologise if I get this wrong, but the band are brilliant, and that's Incensus Lucis with Temples Colliding in Fire, and it's the third studio album from the UK-based black metal band. Again, I'm really sorry if I pronounced that incorrectly. Now, this record is a very guitar-driven record, so you can expect huge riffs, muscular attitude, mad shreddage, flying solos. The speed in this record is beyond absolutely insane. But there's also a lot of death metal elements and thrash and speed metal elements as well. So if you are a fan of your black and speed metal, you're definitely going to want to get onto this. Now, despite the fact it is very fast paced and very, very heavy, it's ridiculously catchy and addictive. I wouldn't go as far to say it's melodic, because I wouldn't say it was on the melodic side of things, but it is very catchy, and those riffs are just so very thrashy, and they burrow their way into your brain and they stay there for ages. I cannot put into words how addictive I found this record. It was just really fun, really bouncy, but so ridiculously crushing. It completely obliterates you with heaviness. But there's also a very dark and atmospheric kind of element to it as well. So yes, it is fast, it's very, very heavy, it's very bouncy. You have huge black metal elements with a bit of thrash and death thrown in there with a wee bit of speed as well. But there's something very dark and very foreboding about the record. And it really grabs your attention. And the next thing you know, you've listened to the whole thing and it's starting again. And I'm not mad about that. I loved this record. I cannot count how many times I listened to it over the weekend. Now, don't get me started about the guitar solos on this record, because they're just absolutely unreal. They are everywhere and they are so intricate and so technical, but they just blast your face off in the best possible way, and I loved this. Now, at the time of recording, this album was not available on Spotify, but it is over on Bandcamp, so I'll make sure to link that in the description box below. So it won't be included in the playlist on Spotify, but you can check it out on Bandcamp. But if you are a fan of the likes of Bewitcher, Hellripper, Wraith, Enforced, Midnight, that kind of vibe, definitely get onto this. Plus, that album artwork is just beautiful. I loved this record. I cannot stop playing this record. If you like your black and speed metal with a wee bit of death in there, it's an extreme metal record, but it does focus heavily on the black metal side of things, followed by, I would say, speed and thrash. Definitely get onto this. Right, so next up on my list, I have Oblet with Eternity Whispers, and it's the third studio album from the melodic black metal band. I fell in love with this record. I know I said that about the last record, and I also fell in love with this record. I cannot get over how stunning this record is. It's the kind of record that is incredibly heavy on the black metal side of things, but it's melodically stunning and captivating, and it's an absolute joy to listen to. It's easy to listen to, but it's also incredibly heavy at the same time, if that makes sense. The blast beats are relentless, and the guitars are ferocious, and they're chugging, and the solos are just everywhere in this one as well. But there's something very dark and ominous about this record, and there's definitely an underlying beauty underneath all of that ferocious darkness. You've also got a lot of really cool synthy moments throughout this as well. They are more on the subtle side of things, but it does create that very dynamic atmosphere underneath all of those chugging guitars, the solos and the blast beats. Plus, Emily's grills, her vocal ability is insane. Her power and her passion and her ferocity are just so vigorous, and those vocals just rip your face clean off consistently. The melodic black metal and the melodic death metal styles definitely interweave with each other throughout this entire record, and it just creates this very opulent, magical sound that's incredibly crushing and devastating at the same time. This is definitely a black metal record through and through, but the melodic side of things creates this very opulent air of magic, and the atmosphere is just gorgeous. Plus, the instrumentation in this is incredible. There is one song on the record that is purely instrumental, and when the violins come in and the guitar solos and the drums, and it just creates this magical world that rips your face off at the same time. I know I keep saying that, but it's the best way to describe it possible. And I just love the energy behind this record. It's very magical, it's very opulent, but it's going to crush you at the same time. So if you are a fan of the likes of Vorga or Garia or Thulkandra, Uada, that kind of sound, definitely get onto this. I loved this record. Okay, so last up on my list, but certainly by no means least, I have Born of Ash with From the Dark They Came, and it's the debut album from the atmospheric melodic death doom metal band. Now, this band take all of their inspiration from the Soulsborne games, so if you think Elden Ring, Bloodborne, or Dark Souls, that kind of vibe, that's where they take all of their themes and their inspiration from, and this record is an absolute monster. It's just over an hour long and it is so dense and multi-layered, very doomy, but very melodic death at the same time. And every single time you listen to this record, it presents something new. So it does alternate between that swinging, heavy, anvil, crushing, stompy doom metal, but you've also got the ferocity of the death metal and the gorgeous synthy melodies of melodic death metal rolled into one. With those games as a theme, I'm all over this. I absolutely love everything about this record and its concept. You have tolling bells, you've got really haunting synths and orchestrations, chugging guitars, flying solos, ridiculous blast beats, but there's also a lot of rhythmical drumming in this as well. The vocal style is primarily guttural grills and rasps, but you do have that odd moment where those clean kind of soaring vocals come into it as well, just to break things up a little bit. Again, there's something incredibly dark and ominous about this record, and it takes you on this mighty journey like you would experience in these games, with lots of layers, lots of elements, and lots of dynamics to go with it as well. But it's gorgeous. It swings heavily like the doomy side of things, but it catches you off guard with a lot of really cool rhythmical stompy stomps every now and again as well. I loved this. I cannot wait to see where this band go, because their whole idea and their whole concept and their delivery is just incredible. And again, I cannot believe that this is just a debut album. The production on this is ridiculously crisp. So if you are a fan of the likes of Necrophobic or Dworodelf or even Far Beyond that I've recommended on this channel, definitely get on to this one. This one is for you. Highly recommend these. I highly recommend all of the albums on these videos, obviously, because I'm recommending it to you guys. But considering this is just a debut album, wow, completely blown away. And that's it for this week's New Metal Monday. Comment down below to let me know what you think of today's records, and if you have any of your own recommendations, let me know and I will definitely get them checked out. I do take all of your recommendations on board and I do check them out, so thank you very much for giving those to me. Like, share, subscribe. I really do appreciate your support as always. I do have a ranking video coming and I am going to be starting up my metal history series again, so I will be explaining that in the next video if you're very new to this and you don't know that I do metal history. Thank you so much, and I will see you very soon in my next video.